Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Saturday. So, yeah, had the house to myself and figured now would be a good time to get some work done. And why not chit chat while I'm doing that work? So, here I am back in the dice cave, the nerd dungeon, if you will. And if anybody wants to pop in and say hi, here I am. If you're tuning in after the fact, I'm going to have Anthony Castro on, the guy who I have been working on a comic book with for some time. It's called Bad Wabbit. He's going to be on in a little bit. We're just going to shoot the shit about that, about taking it to Kickstarter and writing it and editing it and developing it. That'll be fun. And as always, I'll be here just taking your questions and shooting the poop. Could be kind of fun. I put in the video description that it's 603 day, which most of you will probably just sort of scratch your head. But we, up here in New Hampshire, 603 day is New Hampshire Day. And it's 603 because that's the area code of New Hampshire. We're still small enough that we don't need a second area code for the whole state. There's only like 1.3 million people here, something like that. Not that many. Whereas Metro Boston has like 4 million people just in Metro Boston and surrounding boroughs. But anyway, it's 603 day today. So up here, we post pictures of where we're from and what we're doing and all that other stuff. And we talk about how awesome it is to live here in tax-free New Hampshire. We are mostly tax-free relative to other places. There's no sales tax up here, which is pretty cool. And we don't have a state income tax either. So right off the bat, financially, we're pretty well off in that regard. And we're our state motto is the live free or die state, because fuck them. Hailing back to the Revolutionary War days. It's a paraphrased quote, but anyway, it's on our license plates, and that's pretty cool. Amongst state mottos, I think it's got to be top tier. But yeah, New Hampshire's pretty cool. I love living here. It is not perfect, but no place is. And it's consistently voted one of the best places to have kids. So here we are, raising kids. If anybody wants to chat, feel free to jump in, type something, say hi. About 15 minutes or so, I'm going to send an invite over to Anthony for him to jump in. But it's just me for right now while he puts on his pants and cleans up his room. Get his mom to stop yelling at him. Hey, Alyssa. I'm glad you're loving the new book. I feel like 14 is good. It's really good, I think. A lot of really fun scenes and happenings. And plus the opening sections. Something that people have been asking for a long time. And I was able to make it work. Yeah, so if anyone's listening or watching and you haven't heard and you're waiting for it, The Lost and the Found came out on audio Thursday, I think it was. Thursday afternoon. And people are now downloading it. And I put up a post because they the last batch of new releases that they put out right before the weekend, none of them got their covers put on. So the listings just have like the book title and then cover not available, which is bullshit because the cover's loaded in. But when I went to look it up, there's like 50 new releases that all don't have a cover. So I know it's not just me. I put in a ticket for it, but whatever. Anyway, it's out. But one of the other side effects is it's a little harder to find for some reason when you search for it. A lot of people are having trouble. They have to like do multiple different kinds of searches. But I put up a post with links just straight to it. So if anyone's looking, you can just go to the my Facebook author page and just tune in. Grab the link there. But it is good. I think DJ did another good job narrating this one as well. And I know it's not James, but James isn't an option anymore. So you're probably wondering what I'm sitting here doing with my hands, but I have dice and I have my trusty soft-handled X-Acto, and I am finding any burrs on the casting edge. Hey, Ice. On the casting edge caused by when the lid of the mold comes down. Sometimes you get like a paper thin bit of flashing, and a lot of times you can just fix that sanding it with the polishing wheel. But a lot of times you just need to trim a little bit off because sometimes it's papery and you can't sand paper. Hey, Zero. Wanda? Anywhere's fine. Doesn't matter. Facebook or YouTube, doesn't matter. I'm trying to increase my footprint on both, so I'll take the attention anywhere you can give it. He's such a cool guy too. Like, I don't want to badmouth James because James and I had a great relationship for a very long time, and we worked really well together. But DJ is just different. He's just like totally humble and chill, and if I give him feedback, he just takes it immediately. And he doesn't like get all butthurt about stuff, which is awesome. And if something's wrong, like, it's just really easy to access him. He's always accessible. Like, I can text him at 11:30 at night, and if I don't get a response back at 11:35, I get it first thing in the morning. So he's just like really responsive and helpful and like flexible and understanding, and he's a good dude to work with. I'm happy. I know he's not James, but some things are out of my control. Wanda, you thank you for asking. Hey, Anthony, I'm going to send you an invite in a couple minutes. Thank you for asking about where to watch. I just recently, for a while now, I've been part of Facebook's Leader Network, which basically is them saying that, like, hey, you've used Facebook in a fairly successful fashion. Will you join a group where you can continue to develop that and help others? But it basically got me like insider access to Facebook. So like I'm a member of a Facebook group of people who are just like celebrities and entrepreneurs and business owners and marketing people and whatnot. And we all can just basically like BS in this chat about all the stuff that's going on. And we have Facebook reps in that group that read the chat all the time and give us, pretty real-time assistance. And through that, I was able to like up my marketing game and run better ads and stuff. But they also just recently promoted me to a professional account, which means I can like earn from posting, like reels and videos and stuff like this. So the more minutes I get streamed on either location, the better off I am, because I have the channel on YouTube and I can't monetize the channel on YouTube until I get, I don't know, it's like 1,000 subscribers and like 10,000 minutes watched or something like that, which will be a struggle to get there because I don't post a ton to YouTube, but I figure if I do these lives and post them, people will be able to come back in time and watch them. And hopefully that can get me to the point where I can make $50 a month on YouTube. Every little bit adds up. Also insulates me from failure. Like if a book is a dud, I'm still gonna make $50 off YouTube. Yay! My kids will eat a little. Anyway, I think with the dice for AUD, I think I have them all casted now. I think they're all like physically casted, and at this point, I just need to like clean them up, number them, paint them, polish them, get them like finished. But it means I won't have to pour any more resin. Hopefully, and some would be more. You're watching on both. 2 screens. I'm in stereo. anyway, the dice thing's exciting because while casting is fun and the idea of like mixing and pouring the resins and doing like the artsy fartsy portion of it is very appealing and fun. The way our life has been lately, finding time to cast has been really tough. We when I'm casting, I can't really be disturbed because once you start mixing the resin, you have a shelf life on it. Like it starts to cure the moment you start to mix it. And the current stuff I have has a working time of about 15 minutes. So once I pour and start to mix from, that point to, 15 minutes from then it starts to like thicken and turn into like taffy. And then I can't do a lot of the stuff I need to do with it. So if I get pulled away while I'm at that phase, like if the kids start screaming or, something happens, and I walk away and I come back, like everything's ruined. Like I got to start all over again. I got to throw away the resin and potentially the molds based on like at what phase things get stuck at or like, whatever. So it's been really tough for me to find time because the kids have been home sick. They had strep, got over it, and then got strep again. And then Leah got strep. I'm the only one who hasn't gotten it. So I'm either due or I lucked out this round. Anyway, it's been really tough to find the time because I've like had to make sure that I'm like Johnny on the spot for the kids. And then during the day when I usually do it while they're at school, they've been home. So not having to cast anymore feels really good. And Wanda, your books will never be duds. If only that were true. I really appreciate that. I think that's a very kind thing to say, but I have had more than one DOA title, which, for various reasons happens. But it is what it is. So I'm going to send an invite to Anthony here. Anthony, I saw you're in the chat, so prepare yourself. I'm just going to generate the link. Ow. And then we'll do like a split screen or something. Paste. All right. I sent you the link. And then he accepts it, and then he logs in. What did I just pay for? Oh, so we can, so I get the Meta verified tag, the blue tag, which you pay for. And I just got billed for it, and I'm sitting here talking about Facebook bastards. There we go. All right, Anthony, I'm hitting add to stream. Close your zipper. Can you hear me now?
There you are.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Whee! Happy Saturday.
Yeah, it's been a Saturday, all right.
Yeah. This is like your second live stream today, right?
Yeah, I did a podcast with Jack Childress and the crew on Book Asylum earlier today.
Nice.
It was always fun with those guys. A lot of laughs.
Yeah, they're a good crew. What were you guys talking about today?
Chris Bonner in his book. Sure, I don't remember exactly what it was called. I had never heard of him before, but he seemed like a really cool guy. We're friends now on here, and so it was fun. We just talked about his book and the usual razzing Jack.
Jack does tend to be the victim of considerable abuse.
Well, last week he had a goat suit on, so I'm sure that didn't help his cause.
Probably not. But he takes it well enough. Balls deep in your eye. Hi, how you doing? I've finally restarted listening to book 11. Ready to listen to 13 and 14 on Audible.
Yeah, I got the proof that you sent me, and I've got the Audible version, and I have yet to start either because I've been so busy with this Kickstarter. I've just been trying to really focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been It's been really tough, man.
I
I've,
get it.
I finally got somebody I think I can count on to actually get these models painted. So that's what we'll be working on the next couple of weeks.
You have some printed out now, right?
They are in the process of being printed. There's 3 models, and he said it would take about 1 day each to print them
Right.
out.
Yeah, that's about right.
So I'm waiting to hear back from him, and I don't have to worry about shipping costs because it's right down the road. So
That's cool.
yeah, as soon as they're done printing, I'm gonna go down and grab them. And then this guy, Tom Funk, he owns a gaming store here in town. And, I talked to him today, and he said that he would be willing to do them for about 100 a piece. But I only have to pay half of that up front. And then whenever they're finished, I can pay the other half.
That's cool.
Yeah. Seems like a reasonable price,
I
The
mean,
other place wanted to charge me like $400 each,
I mean, if it depending upon the quality of painting, that's like very reasonable because it's it's a pretty big miniature you're getting made of Wabbit.
They're about 8.5 inches each.
Yeah, that's big. That's a big.
It's bigger than me. But don't bunch.
Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, and I haven't done a ton of talking about it because it's been in process for so long. Anthony had an idea for a comic book and a comic book character named Bad Wabbit, and
the B-dub.
He approached me at some point a while ago asking if I would take a look at it, help out, whatever. And I did, and it was good. It's a good comic. And after much cajoling and hand jobbing, I edited it, and we kind of tightened it up and kind of got it to I think it's a really good place.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, dude.
And now Anthony's in the process of transitioning it to Kickstarter, which is where like 90% of comic books get their life now. So, I just finished up my Kickstarter for AUD, and his is going to be starting up pretty soon. You don't have a set date yet.
I'm kind of winging it. I'm hoping here within the next couple weeks at the most. The main hang up was getting the models painted and trying to figure out if I'm going to have a plush of Toxic Pig, which is, as you know, is one of my characters.
Yeah.
So the plush looks like it might be getting out there. It might be getting some traction. And I definitely am getting these models painted. So with all that falling into place, there's not going to be much more time before I push the start button.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm excited and nervous because, it's my first outing.
Oh, yeah.
But I read the book like 20 times yesterday, and it was like every time I got to the end, I was like, dude, I can't wait to the next one.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great feeling.
Yeah.
As somebody who's done 3 Kickstarters now successfully, they're all equally nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because quite a bit of work goes into setting them up, and like what people don't realize is the amount of research that you have to do.
Yes.
Like as a writer, I'm always researching like all of my subject matter and what my books are about and locations and jobs and like how do machines work and to make sure that when I'm writing it sounds somewhat believable. But then like you're looking at Kickstarter and then it's like shipping materials and shipping prices and shipping speeds and vendors for this and vendors for that and how do I write this description and do I have pictures of this and and it's like a whole different thing.
I call this my Kickstarter Bible.
Yeah.
I got like all the emails and shipping and prices and all that stuff because it's like as soon as I realized all the stuff that went into it, I was like, I need to write this down because this is not going to be subject to memory later on.
No. Hey, Lee Edwards. Yeah,
it's been a process, man. But you've helped quite a lot, man. You've been a very key character in the development of Bad Wabbit and the Kickstarter. So, I mean, Thank you, as always.
No, you're welcome. Um, I love to help on stuff like that because it's like it's fun, right? Because you get to like help invent stuff, and
Yeah.
then from like a success standpoint, it's really really cool to be able to lend a hand to help people get to the point where they can like launch their thing and see where it goes, and hopefully make a little bit of money.
You were talking about doing research and stuff, but I think that's why I like doing comics is because I don't really have to research it. I can just make shit up on the willy nilly. It doesn't have to be scientifically correct. I mean,
No.
look at the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah, yeah.
They
I mean,
threw,
they're
they
they're
threw
straight up
physics out
fantasy
the
now.
window. That's so funny.
The first one was like just like an action movie, like, oh, this is cool. They're running around, they're stealing stuff from trucks, and
Yeah,
now it's just like it's straight up fiction.
going into
Like, yeah,
space.
like it's just like what? But it's also like one of the most successful franchises in the universe, so
Yeah,
can't
that's true.
can't can't say too much against their writing strategy.
Uh, well, I think they lost me at going into space in a what is it, a hatchback?
Yeah, unreal. I haven't even seen that one. I just saw like a TikTok clip of it someone posted, and they're like, "What in the shit are they doing?" And I just sat there watching it, and for a minute there, I was like, "This is like a joke, right? Like this is like a Super Bowl commercial that they're just like going crazy on." Like, no, that's actually a scene in the movie.
They
Like,
pull out two Budweisers and they
yeah,
crack them and start floating around the
seriously,
cockpit.
yeah, Clydesdale floats by. Nope, they actually did it,
That's
but
so funny,
whatever.
dude.
So for the uninitiated, why don't you give everybody like the 2 minute version of what Bad Wabbit is?
Well,
Because I know.
yeah. I mean, I know you know, but I don't think they know. So the basis is, well, it all came to start because I had heart failure, got stuck in bed, drew a little doodle, and everybody liked called Bad Wabbit. Now he is becoming the main character of the comic book. The synopsis of the overall story is of a burnt out, uh, traumatized. He had a traumatized past. Alcoholic rabbit. He'd rather just drink liquor and smoke cigarettes and be left the hell alone.
So to be
Um,
clear, this is a like post-apocalyptic world,
yes,
like where the humans were annihilated and the
yes,
animals have somehow, gained sentience and have like taken over in the rubble of humanity.
yes,
And all of the characters are anthropomorphized animals. So they're like, there's a rabbit person, there's a dog person, and so on and so on. So like
exactly.
that feels clutch to mention.
Yeah.
Because I always
So
say like he's an alcoholic rabbit, and then it's like a lop-eared bunny jumping around in like a garden in Europe, and everyone's like, "This is just fucking weird." But I mean, people might like that. So
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's an anthropomorphic rabbit. It's in the future. Humans have destroyed the planet. Nuclear war, toxic waste, and all the crap
Germany.
that we do. And from that rose the anthros, who are the anthropomorphic creatures. There's a lot of other stuff in this world that I haven't touched on yet, but I mean, there literally could be anything that exists in this world. I'm going to make it open like that so that, future stories can go wherever we want them to, and it won't seem just kind of pulled out of the ass,
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be running across a lot of characters, even maybe go as far as like fairies and dragons. I don't know. It just, we're going to keep it open. But basically, he gets forced, on a mission. Well, not a mission. He gets forced on an adventure that he does not want to go on. It's like the last thing he wants to do. But he gets shanghaied, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term. He gets shanghaied by Foxy Fox, who is a pirate captain of an airship. And that kind of just starts off the whole thing. And he meets Toxic Pig, who is a pig with a gas mask. The gas mask is not to keep toxic things out, but to keep them in, because he is a science experiment gone wrong. Well, I don't know. He's kind of cool. He's a good egg,
He's shaped like one.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I think the thing I wanted to bring out in the most in the series is his ability to deal, like his learning how to deal with the traumatic past that he's been through.
Wabbit.
Yeah, and the things he's been through. Because I mean, a lot of the stuff that he has been through, I kind of loosely based on some of the stuff I've been through. I grew up very heavily in gangs. I've seen some of my friends die in front of me. I've seen a lot of really stuff, bad stuff. So it's like coming through this whole heart failure thing. I learned how to like start dealing with that kind of stuff because I had to stop drinking like I was. I was self medicating. I was polishing off like 2 liters of whiskey a day,
Oof.
and yeah, and I'd chase it down with a 12 pack, and it wasn't a healthy lifestyle to say the least.
Yeah.
But once they told me I was dying from heart failure, I kind of took a little reevaluation of myself and started really learning how to deal with those kind of things. And the writing and drawing has really helped therapeutically,
Hmm.
kind of helped me with dealing with that kind of stuff. It gives me an outlet, to share my emotions in a way, and
Yep.
I kind of want to do that through Bad Wabbit. But the thing is, each character has been through traumatic stuff, and each one of them deal with it in a different way.
Hmm.
For example, Bad Wabbit, he drinks. That's his way of dealing with it. Foxy Fox, she just goes crazy and eliminates the enemy. I guess you could say whoever she perceives to be the enemy.
Yep.
And out of all of them, I think Toxic Pig is the most resilient because he's been experimented on and turned into a nuclear device basically.
Hmm.
And he's just the kindest heart, and he still stays positive, and I think that's really cool about him. But don't tell him any secrets, because he'll be the first one to spill that shit. He's the one that if you say, hey man, we're going in here, this guy's got a really big mole on his face, don't look at it, don't talk about it. He's the one that walks in and goes, that mole, the one on his face, that big ugly one right there. Yeah, I mean, each character is unique in their own way, but each one has a little aspect of my personality, I guess.
Hmm.
So
Well, like to draw a parallel, I've said multiple times that when I first started writing AUD, it was basically me,
yeah,
right? Like I was writing a story about me, and Adrian became a character, and I'm not Adrian, but a lot of the stuff that Adrian talks about and deals with is stuff that I either have been dealing with or I dealt with or whatever, from his guilt to his trauma to weird relationship stuff, all that jazz. And I think like that it's a cliche that like writers just like put themselves into characters, but there's a certain element of truth to that, right? Because like you can't really get inside a character's head unless you're framing it through the lens of your life,
yeah,
right? And like I guess like the really great writers can think completely differently than what they actually do. But like I can't imagine what that's like to like that feels like
yeah,
really
me neither.
alien, like sliding into someone else's body and trying to drive it around. So I mean, whenever we can insert ourselves into the character, I think people find it's more authentic and believable and identifiable and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I as a new writer, because I am new, but I think that's really the only way that I can write right now.
mhm,
Maybe later on down the road, once I have more experience and all that stuff. But the stuff I write has to come from a place of experience,
mhm,
things that I've experienced, or at least people that I know who've experienced this, some
mhm.
space within that, spectrum.
Yep.
But I'm
That's why I
definitely
write about
not going to be
masturbation so
right.
much.
Yeah, I'm not going to be writing about being an astronaut or a president or anything like that because I have no idea what that's like.
Wanda says that an alcoholic rabbit would make a good stew.
Yeah, already,
Yep.
already.
And she also says that creative art is the best medicine.
Yes, it is.
It's
And
it is. It's powerful stuff.
Well, I used to, when I first started, when I first got diagnosed with heart failure, I was stuck at home, man, and it was like nerve wracking because I lost my job.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go to work. I couldn't really do anything, and my
Right.
wife, thank God, she picked up the slack and really like started working and trying to keep us afloat.
Yeah.
And I felt horrible about that, like as a man, you feel really bad that you can't do something to kind of help,
Mm-hmm.
and they took so damn long with my disability that, I was just stuck.
Right.
And that kind of makes you depressed and it makes you feel worthless and useless and all that good stuff. And, so that's kind of how I started drawing. I was laying in bed and just kind of doodling on paper. And my first few digital drawings, actually, I did with a mouse, which were very difficult, but it taught me the patience needed to get anything good done. And so
Yeah.
once I got like a stylus and a pad and everything, it just kind of really came together.
Right.
But I was doing stuff on Reddit, and I
Mm-hmm.
had a really big following on Reddit. I mean, I don't know very many people that have like 38,000 people watching at a time. Uh, so that was a really cool experience until I got the kibosh put on me. But such is life.
Such as Anthony's life.
Right.
I can't even sign like my signature using a mouse. Like whenever there's like an electronic document, right? And
Yeah.
it's like sign here, and I'm just like, it looks like I like someone hit me with a cattle prod halfway through. Like, how hard could it possibly be? I can't even imagine like trying to illustrate.
Yeah. Well, the way I did most of it was like I would try and do it on a piece of paper, take a picture of that paper,
Hmm.
and then transfer that picture up onto the screen, and then try my best to trace it. But still, tracing with a mouse, it's not a simple task. So it
Hey,
was a
Angel.
it was a learning experience to say the least. What's up, Angel? Angel's a great
Also,
guy.
Jeff. Angel is a great guy.
I got to be sending him out a sketch soon. I just haven't been able to get to the post office.
Make sure you mushroom stamp it.
Yep, I've dragged my nuts right across the top of it.
Somebody, there's a famous quote. I forget who said it, but they basically said that every crisis is an opportunity,
Yeah,
right? And like when you're in the middle of a crisis, that like the last thing that you're thinking about is like, okay, how can I turn this into an opportunity? Because you're just trying to deal with the fucking crisis. Um,
exactly.
but the reality of it is like if you can find that moment to take that breath and like understand that like okay, like what can I do with this problem, like how can I take this and turn it into an advantage? If you can actually pivot that mindset, it makes the problem like minuscule, you know,
Yeah,
relatively speaking. And I know, like, I think you and I were talking about like something got screwed up on the back end, and I forget exactly what it was. And it was like, okay, this isn't a crisis, this is an opportunity. Like, what can we think about differently here?
yeah,
What can we pivot? How can we change that? Who else can we talk to? Kind of thing. And when you're sitting there laid up with a heart that's stopping working,
yeah,
like that's your crisis, right? But you took that crisis and you turned it into an opportunity to work on that art,
yeah.
right?
And
And
it was like at first I was like really devastated, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna die, and I just kind of laid there. And that was my mindset,
mhm,
oh, I'm gonna die. There's nothing. That's it. It's over. But then I was like, after a while laying there and getting tired of laying there, I was like, it's not over. I said, I can do something. I can
right.
do something to fight this. It's not over. And a lot of people may not, subject themselves to the belief in God, but I do.
Hmm.
And so I really started digging into that and put my heels in the ground and started fighting back. And started jogging, doing physical things, to fight the heart failure. And I lost a lot of weight. I lost almost 100 pounds, and
Good for you.
yeah, it was daunting. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, aside from the physical stuff, I also did a lot of mental stuff, the drawing, the writing, the talking to people, because I wasn't very social
Mm-hmm.
when it came to like talking to people.
Mm-hmm. It
And
showed.
but 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 the Reddit thing really helped because I had a lot of people coming in and they wanted to ask me this and talk to me about that, and
Yeah.
a lot of them asked for advice. A lot of them found solace in my story, knowing that you could turn, like you said, something negative into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, I think, really find inspiration from that.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, Bad Wabbit, he starts off as a drunken bum, pretty much. He bounces for liquor, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
But by the end of the story, the whole arc, he will have changed, profoundly. Like he's going to be finding new people in his life, people that he wouldn't have never thought to become friends, and all that stuff. So he's going to be changing too. So I want people to see that people can change, and no matter how low you are in life, there's always an opportunity to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's one of the things about the story that, like, obviously in the first comic book, you don't get the whole, the arc,
Yeah,
right? But we talked about it, and I think at the time, like when you first started talking about it, I think you were like, oh, maybe 6 or 8, issues or whatever, and who knows how long it'll actually wind up being.
yeah,
Um, but you kind of like laid it out and was like,
mhm,
okay, this is where he starts. This is kind of what happens in the first, area, and you hadn't broken it down into like specific issues yet,
no,
like the arc of each issue or whatever. But I could kind of see what you were going for, and it was like, okay, cool. Like that's got legs. Like there's meat to that story more than just
yeah,
boobs and violence and
and action and
superheroes
stuff.
and
Yeah.
whatnot, which is fun. Don't get me wrong.
And I have a definitive end for him, but I'm not going to give that away. I think what that end is, but I'm not going to spill the beans.
Yeah, I rarely know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis.
Me neither. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be a story of redemption and self-discovery, and just kind of picking himself up from his furry feet. So
The first issue, the one that is done and fully illustrated, that we've been working on for a couple months now, more than that, probably like 3 or 4 months. It's
I've
been a
been
while.
working on it at least a year at the most. So
Anyway, it's good. Like it's a good comic book. Like it's got good action. It's got good dialogue. It's the art's really good. The guy you hired to do the illustrations and stuff is like solid. Like he's a good artist.
yeah, Tommy
Um,
Guns is amazing.
yeah, the pages look really good, and like it has good shelf appeal, and it like the style is nice, and it's got legs, and
And the covers are awesome.
yeah, they are fun.
Like I have the Star Wars esque cover. I have Tommy's cover that is actually based on one of my cover designs that
The
I did.
profile.
Yeah, the profile one.
Yep.
And then we have the one that I did where he's in a police lineup. So,
Yeah,
I
that looks
mean,
fun.
we've got some variants and we got the original. So they all look really awesome. I think if you're walking by a shelf and you see that on there, you're going to be like, what the hell is that? And I want to check that out.
Well, it's got enough like uniqueness to it that comic book people will look at it and be like, "Oh, what's that?" And it's also got enough familiarity to it, with like a couple of other comics that have been around for a while, that people might look at it because it resembles something else. Like specifically, I'm talking about Usagi Yojimbo,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the rabbit
Oh, I know.
samurai.
Yes, I know
Um,
him very well.
so like I think people will look at it and be like, oh, I wonder if it's like that. And there's some elements to Wabbit's story that resemble the arc of that samurai rabbit. um, but yeah, it's cool. It's just it's a neat comic, and it's not for kids. It's
No,
absolutely not for kids.
don't get it for your 5-year-old.
Yeah, do not, unless you're putting it in like a lockbox and keeping it mint condition until they turn like I don't know, 14 or 15 or whatever. But it'll be fun. And credits wise, Anthony's the creator and officially the writer, because he wrote 95% of it, and I'm credited as the editor, because I took his script and kind of formatted it and tightened up wordings and kind of relayed out parts of it that, like we had a conversation the other day where it's like you wanted to change like one line of text for Foxy towards the end, and it was like, okay, hold on. So the way it's written right now, it's read like this. And if you want to rewrite it and say it this way, then it changes this, and this.
Exactly.
Or you can rewrite it and say it this way, and then it changes this, and this. And those are the things, like when you're a writer, that sometimes you're just writing so fast and it just comes out that you don't like actually take a second to breathe. And one of the things that catches me as a writer, and I'm sure it either has already caught you or will, is sometimes you write it the way you want it to be read in people's heads, and then when you read it the way you want it to be read, but not actually the way people might read it. Which is why putting it in front of other people and being like, hey, I just read this and it could be interpreted like this, and it's like, oh yeah, right, okay, all right, so I need to change that. And a lot of it comes down to like commas, like there's a joke like, Uncle Jack, gave the horse a hand job, and like you put a comma in 3 different places, and it's like, it goes from Uncle Jack walking the horse to Uncle Jack, doing some other stuff. So, but that's just the truth. Where
it's just so weird how like just something small like that can change the whole dynamic of
everything.
Story, like not just a sentence, but a story in general.
Well, literally, it was like one line of text, and it completely changed her character.
And it would have went from pirate to freedom fighter, and it was just like, that's not where we're trying to go.
Are you playing this person as this character or as this character? Because it's like, depending upon how you word this one sentence, But anyway, that's like the good reason why you bring in other eyes and you collaborate and you come up with, like perspective, I guess. Like when I post all my stuff on Patreon, right? So, 95% of the stuff that I work on shows up there months and months and months before it actually makes it to, audio or print or ebook or whatever. And having that window of time where, my Patreon people can be like, hey, this is really good, or hey, this sucks balls. And then to have them, give me that constructive feedback where it's like, hey, did you mean this or did you mean that? Or, this person doesn't seem like this kind of character. Why would they say this? That's like solid gold. Because it's like having built-in beta readers, which, when you're first starting out, it's hard to get beta readers at all because nobody wants to read for you for free, right?
Exactly.
Hey, Sean. So, having just one more set of eyes is incredibly helpful. Not even for like typos, but just to like read it. Like, is this good? How bad have I fucked this up?
I'm hoping to get some Patreon or patrons on my Patreon. I've been releasing my AUD fan fiction every Wednesday, 7:00 in the morning.
Nice.
But it'd be cool to get some feedback, eventually. I personally think it's a great story, but I'm biased because it's about me and my dog in Adrian's world. Nice. So it's pretty cool. I think so far my favorite entry was the dildo zombie. So you're gonna have to go and read that. So that's pretty funny though.
Patreon's such a funny animal because it's they do absolutely nothing to promote you.
No.
Nothing.
You have to do everything yourself.
So it basically is it's a service that allows you to ask people who already like you if they're willing to give you a few bucks a month. It's not a place to find new fans. And, a lot of, creators, yourself included, go over there and try to build an audience. And it's really hard. Like it is really, really, really hard to get people to even notice you. Like I've had my Patreon for like, I don't know, 3 years now, maybe more. And I still only have like 40 patrons, 50 patrons. And I have 5,000 people who follow me on Facebook
Oh wow.
regularly, right? 5,000 people, and I still only have like 40 or 50 patrons.
Yeah, that's
Um,
crazy.
so like, I get it, because like right now the whole world is getting nickel and dimed. Every streaming service wants you for $5 a month or more, and now it's like, everything is microtransactions, and now here I am being like, hey, just give me $3 a month. Um, I'm just like the next asshole in line. But it helps, like I tell the people on Patreon all the time that like, the money that goes into Patreon for me is the money that I use for marketing.
Yeah.
So like literally every dollar that comes in on my Patreon goes straight into my advertising fund, and that's just what I have for advertising that month. And I adjust my budgets accordingly. So it's like by giving me that couple bucks a month, you are helping me advertise and grow and make sales and do XYZ. Hi, Shelly.
I use it to buy another bag of rice, another bag of beans.
Right. One more condom.
Right.
Just one. Raz, I can't get over my own self-doubt enough to let another human being read my writing. I get it. I totally get that.
I get that too, man. Like I'm so like I said, I've read the thing 20 times already, and I think it's great for the first issue of the overall adventure that I'm trying to put out there.
All right.
But it's still like if I put it out there and people are just like, I don't know. But it's that constant worry about it.
I mean,
But
that's just like the reality though, right?
yeah,
And like the harsh reality that I've learned is that no matter how good I think it is, no matter how great the story I imagine is, no matter how awesome the writing I think it is, 2 months after I release it, I find mistakes in it. Or I think of a better way that I could have done it. Like, and that's with everything, like with everything I do, I find, some way to better it or something to bitch about. And no matter how good it is, there's always people who don't like it.
yeah.
Always. Like you cannot make something that pleases everybody. And the loudest people in the world are the ones who want to complain. Like the people who love my shit leave me reviews like maybe 5% of the time. Maybe I actually did the math on it one day, and it's something like 1.5% of the sales I get turn into a review somewhere. So for like every 100 books I sell, I get one review.
Yeah.
Something like that. And of those reviews, some of the loudest ones are the people who didn't like it, right? Because they're the first ones who want people to know that their experience was bad, right?
Yeah.
So you're never going to please everybody, and the haters are going to come out of the woodwork. The reality of it is if you like it, share it. Someone's going to like it.
Yeah, and that's cool, man. I've gone through life not pleasing a lot of people, so I've been a disappointment in my life. So I'm prepared for all the disappointment to come at me.
It's just turning it into an opportunity. Like
Yep.
if someone says they don't like something, that don't take it personal, right? Like if you can make it better because of that feedback, take it and run with it. And like they say, as a writer, like don't read your reviews, right? But like I actually like to read my reviews. When they're good, it feels really good to get the review. But then like when it's a negative review, like sometimes that's like really helpful.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people say something that's like, I didn't like it because of X.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like sometimes that's a very reasonable complaint, and it helps me to be informed because it's like, all right, well, maybe I wrote something that, wasn't accurate or was kind of insensitive in a way that I didn't really think about, or, whatever. And sometimes you can glean some really great stuff off bad reviews.
And that's kind of one of the things I respect about you as my mentor, I guess I could say. If I did write something or thought something as far as like the script goes or anything, you were quick to say, hey, that doesn't make any sense, or why would they do that, and what the fuck is going on here? And it definitely helped my writing get better and helped me develop a better story than I probably would have had. So yeah, honest opinions and critiques are very welcome. You know.
It's hard to not take it personal, right?
Yeah,
Because like,
it is.
you don't want to have it second guessed. You want everyone to just immediately love it. But at the same time, like, we're kind of blind to our own flaws.
Yeah.
You
I mean, I
know,
look
like,
in the mirror and think I'm the most handsome guy, but I don't think everybody else probably thinks that.
yeah, looking at a David Lee Roth poster. It's not,
Right.
not a mirror. Cameron, for what it's worth, I'm on book 8 and I have reviewed all on Audible. Thank you, Cameron. I appreciate that. It really does help. Reviews really do help.
Heck yeah. I found out that they do. The place that I'm getting them printed does have a store in which you can buy the comic book. So after I print it, that's going into their store, and I'll be able to decide when I want that to happen, and most likely after the comic book comes out. And
This is in Austin, right?
No, this is Comics Wellspring. I'm going through.
Oh, I thought you meant the place where you were getting the models printed. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
Yeah, Wellspring's going to be your printer.
Yeah, and they're really good. I've been in contact with the lady over there pretty frequently, and she's been pretty helpful on that whole process.
Nice.
And my sister's store, Titan Moon Comics, has already agreed to sell it out of there. And I've contacted Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash and offered them a few copies, and they were like, "Okay, that's awesome." So,
what's the really big store in Houston? Like one of the world's biggest comic book stores is in Houston. That's not far from you.
I don't even know, man.
You can, Google is your friend.
Let's see.
Yeah, I bet you if you called them up, they'd carry it. They might even have you in for a signing or something like that.
That would
Now
be
I feel
cool.
like a douche nozzle. Yeah, Raz, you are a douche nozzle. Take that. I'll be going over to Audible and leaving more than a couple reviews. Ha! my shame game has paid off. I'm gonna get 3 reviews tonight. Yes. No, but really, leave reviews. They're helpful.
See, it's coming up with a few of them. This is Third Planet Sci-Fi Superstore.
Yep, that one.
Okay, yeah.
They're huge.
I'm gonna have to hit them up tomorrow or Monday, whenever they're open. I've been cold calling people. I don't even care, you know. I just want to get it out there.
Yep.
So I'm calling. Hey, my name is Douchebag, and I'd like you to run my comic book out of your store.
Yep. Well, as long as you make it fairly low risk, they don't really have a whole lot to lose as long as you're polite on the phone, right?
Yeah.
And not like trying to sell them a vacuum cleaner, right? Like, hey, I got a comic book. It would be cool if you put it in your store. Here's how I'm gonna entice you to do that.
Yeah.
It's not like you're asking for like an entire shelf for something inappropriate.
Send them like 20 copies.
Yeah, no big deal.
It'd be cool if they wanted a whole shelf. Hey man, this is great. Can we get like 100 copies of each?
When I was single, before I met Leah, and well, actually, I might have had a girlfriend at the time. I forget, but before I had kids, for sure, I did a lot of local hustling here in New Hampshire and Massachusetts and Maine, trying to get my stuff into bookstores, and it was a gigantic pain in the ass because, like, I was doing a lot of cold calling, and bookstores didn't want paperbacks. Like they just didn't. Which is a big reason why the Kickstarter that I'm doing is to make the hardcovers, because they would say, well, hey, when you get a hardcover, call us back. We'd be much more likely to do that. But it's been like 8 years since then. But I was looking at getting cardboard displays made. Like those pop displays that they fold together and they have like a graphic and stuff on them. And I was actually looking into getting like 50 of those made, and then basically just enticing stores to like, hey, I'm going to give you this display, and the deal is, and I was going to offer them like if they bought the display for $50 or whatever off of me, which would have been at a loss. Like I would have been paying $100 a display for these things.
Yeah.
But if they paid me $50 for it, I would give them like an enormous deal on like a lump of books to stock the thing. And I never went through with it because it just, never quite lined up. And then, I just realized how much work it was to deal with, like distributing all of my stuff to, a bunch of local stores.
Yeah.
Because then it's a whole nother business.
It is definitely a process, man. And I am learning a lot about it. So it's like maybe 1 out of 30 or we'll even consider it, and that's not saying yes. That's just like, well, just send me what you got and maybe, and so it's been constant calling. I mean, the first day I decided to start cold calling people, I think I was on the phone for like 4 hours. And I wasn't calling just places around me. I was calling like nationwide, just any place that was, would pick up the phone.
Yeah, no, for real.
So
comic book stores, like in general, though, are all small businesses, right?
Yeah.
Like how many comic book stores are chains? I mean, like, can you think of any?
No.
So when you call a comic book store, you're probably either going to get somebody who's like passionate about the business answering the phone, or the owner. Right. So like, in what other business can you call and just get the owner on the phone just for asking?
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about like trying to promote your creativity, and for the most part, the creative environment, like the culture of people who work in art and publishing is, fairly open to cool stuff like that. I mean, unless they're like an editor who's like, you're trying to sell your book to or whatever, because then they don't want to have anything to do with you. But that's just because they're just constantly trying to be sold to. But on the retail level, these people want to hear cool deals. They want to be the first store to have it. They want to be the store in their city to carry this product, especially if it's like signed or whatever. I think that gives them a competitive edge.
True. And I think out of all the places I've called, I've only had one guy who was like just not having it. Like, what are you selling? What is this? Why are you calling me? It's like,
right.
Sorry, goodbye.
Why are you in comic books?
Yeah. It was
Negative.
like he really thought I was trying to like sell him someone's baby or something. Like he's just, it was like, oh, look, man, I just wanted to know if you'd want to sell this. Why?
To make us money,
right?
Some people just don't want to be sold to, and that's fine. Like I mean, I know I bitch when Hulu plays another ad. Like, what am I'm paying you how much a month for you to show me ads too? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
But whatevs. It's definitely a hustle. Like, not only is there like the whole creative process of it, where you're trying to create a quality product and have quality art and quality layout and quality all that other stuff, then it's like, okay, now I have to try and figure out a way to sell it. And it's not like fine art, quote unquote, where like you do a painting of a fucking fruit on a table or whatever, and then you're trying to sell it to a gallery or to some rich person, and you make one sale and you make 20 grand, on a painting or more, if you're particularly talented or hyped up or whatever.
I wish I could do that.
Right, exactly. With this, it's like you're trying to convince a whole bunch of people to all give you a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like you just got to convince one person and you're all set. Like, you got to convince a lot of people. Like I joke, like every time something breaks in the house, I do the math. Like, all right, I got to sell how many books to fix that?
Right.
And like, all right, how many people is that going to have to be? Jesus.
Well, see, this is a big Hail Mary for me because like I'm poor, bro. I'm not even gonna lie about it. Losing my job and being on disability, and they don't even give me they give me like maybe half of what my rent is, and that's not including bills and food. And car payments and all that
Yeah.
stuff, so my wife picks up a lot of that slack. I mean, a lot of it, if not all of it.
I bet you did your laundry too.
No, I do everything.
Oh, thank God.
I do the cooking, the cleaning, the taking care of kids,
There it
the
is.
running them to and from, and all that good stuff. But
That's a job, man.
yeah, it is, and I'm happy to do it if it means her, being able to pay the bills and rent and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect too much more from her, but this is going to be a life changer if it goes well and sells well. This will be a definite financial boost for my family, and that's the main reason I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for fame. I'm not doing it for fortune. Well, maybe that kind of fortune, but generational wealth. But I just want my kids to be good and my wife to be good. And if the inevitable, croak happens, I want them to have, something to be like, hey, man, my dad did this,
Mm-hmm.
and he helped us out. So
Yep.
it's definitely more than just a comic book for me.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got your blood is in this thing, quite literally.
Yeah, I put a lot of passion and a lot of work into it, and I'm hoping people see that, and not just the first issue, but every issue that comes afterwards. The second issue is going to be really fun. I went very Indiana Jones chase fight scenes kind of thing with it. So that's going to be really cool.
Well, the first one has a very I don't want to say cliffhanger-ish ending.
Yeah.
But, they're Indy will need short round to get him out, kind of a deal. So hopefully you can entice some people with that ending and get them invested to push for getting a second book.
Yeah. And my artist, he's already invested. He's, man, he goes, we've been working on this for so long together. He's like, I can't see you letting anybody else draw this. So he's like, I want to be the official Bad Wabbit artist. I was like, you got it if you want it, man. And he's been really understanding about my financial situation. And I was just paying him page to page.
Right.
And then he started getting way ahead. And I was like, slow down there, Kimasabi. I can only pay you,
Right.
this much and this much. He goes, no. He goes, I believe in this. I think it's going to do great. And you can pay me out of whatever we make off of it. And so he's been really cool and understanding about the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I'm really thankful for him, man.
Yeah.
His sceneries are freaking amazing. Like his scenery art is just outstanding. And that's what really drove me to want him to do the comic book. So, because like the first one takes place a lot inside a building,
Mm-hmm.
and you just get to see the building. But once you get out into the open and into the actual world that I created,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be some really badass like sceneries and stuff like that. So
yeah, you got to make sure when you're writing, like if you have an artist that's particularly good at doing a certain kind of thing, like you got to try and write it to their strength, right? Like if you wouldn't hire someone who's really good at doing robots to draw animals.
Yeah.
Right. So you got a guy who does like some amazing vista and outdoor work and like depth of field, stuff like that. Like, all right, well, let's have some scenes outside.
Yeah, and he's good at doing everything. Like I saw some of his mechanical work, like drawing. His first adaptation of Bad Wabbit, he was a little bit muscular. He looked like a superhero, like he was all muscular and stuff like that. But he had drawn a motorcycle and had him leaning against this like really futuristic looking motorcycle and stuff. And it was so cool. I was like, how the hell did he do that? Because like I can't draw a freaking gun. My guns look like a 3-year-old drew like this square, like with a handle. And his everything I've seen from him, scenery, character design, and just like mechanical stuff, like you've seen the Red Fox, the ship, looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And all the characters that you see in the bar, outside of Bad Wabbit, Foxy Fox, Mayhem Mouse, Toxic Pig, and Space Monkey. I don't know if I already said him, but anyways, out of those 5 characters are mine, right? But all the other ones are uniquely drawn, like the original art from him. He designed all of them. And
it's great when you can give them license like that too,
Yeah.
like, no, just do something fun, like do what appeals to you, because then they draw something that they're excited to draw, as opposed to just like following instructions, and working with artists, the one thing I've noticed is the last thing they want is actual instructions.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to let their freak flag fly.
Right. Like every time I go in to get a tattoo, I'm always like, all right, well, I kind of want something like this, but if you have ideas, I'm willing to listen. Because the second they have like any kind of like creative agency over it, it just changes.
Yeah.
They get way more invested, and the outcome is much more important to them. And, it's the same thing, on my end where, like I have book covers, right? And, I'm saying like, well, I kind of envision this and I kind of envision that, but, at the end of it, it's always like, but I'm open to ideas. Because again, they have a great idea, and the same idea transfers for me for like audio work. So like when the very first audiobook I ever worked on was the first AUD. And, when I hired James back in like 2012, 2013, something like that, I think I had like 100 auditions. No, it was 34 auditions for the first AUD book.
Wow.
Which I was like overwhelmed by, right? Because it's like I got to listen to 32 auditions or 30 odd auditions, right? And I narrowed it down from that to 2. There was like 2 like really, really great guys, and James was one of them. And I gave a set of instructions for a second audition, and the guy who wound up not getting the job didn't follow any of the instructions. None. Like he didn't even read the scene I asked him to read. he went out and bought the ebook, thanks, and found a scene that he wanted to read. And I was like, okay, good initiative, for trying to play to your strengths, but that is not what I asked you for.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No.
And like now that I've seen you basically just like completely disregard like my rather crucial request before you're hired, like what are you going to do after I give you the green light? Like how do I know you're going to make decisions that are good for the series? And that was one of the reasons why James got the job.
Yeah.
Because he followed the instructions. But like then I got to give him the green light, like, and I got to be like, all right, well, I wrote the book, but this is your narration of it.
Yeah.
So, we would get together, and I still get together with all my narrators before a book. And it's like, all right, so, here's some voices, here's some scenes, here's some characters, here's some moods, and just basically kind of like dial them into stuff that might not be super apparent. But then I got to let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like I have to empower them to do the performance that speaks for them. And sometimes that's not always exactly what you want, but it's good because they're invested.
Yeah.
So,
well, I don't really have to worry about that as far as narrators go because I have a comic book. But if I ever decide to do like an action comic where it's like a motion comic or whatever,
yeah.
I might have to start worrying about that. I know Tommy Guns, the guy that does the book, he's the lead on an animation team, and they've all already agreed that if that Wabbit does well and we get enough issues out there to where we can put together like an hour and a half little cartoon or whatever, they already agreed that they would get on that. So that's pretty cool. It's cool to have that option on the table.
It is. Got to get that Kickstarter.
Yeah. Step 1.
Step 1, actually get the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I sent you that link to that comics podcast.
Yeah, I was listening to that this morning.
Yeah, apparently they give quite a bit of good advice in it. I haven't listened to it yet because I only recently, literally today, heard of it. But Kickstarter is where, like, I forget what the number is, but it's a significant portion of comic books are born now.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of the old school publishing processes, the process of getting a comic book into a comic book store from a major publisher is quite complicated. It's not just I send it in and they publish it. There's like lots and lots and lots of steps and
Oh yeah.
lots of politics and stuff involved and whatnot. So when you can just circumvent it and go straight to Kickstarter and find the fan base that's actually going to buy the book, and then you only have to worry about making as many as what sells, and then you take that capital and you build the business, then you're insulated from all the bullshit of the publishing houses. So a lot of comic books are now born there.
Yeah.
So
I
there
look
are
back
a lot
at
of people interested.
I looked back at the beginning when I was trying to literally draw it myself and just laugh at how freaking naive I was to everything that had to do with comic books. I mean, I was like, I'm just going to draw it out and throw it out there. And I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. Not until you came along. So, you say you edited it but you did way more than that. So, you're definitely owed more credit than just the editor.
Yeah, I'm not worried about credit.
Yeah.
I have done so many things for so many people and gotten zero credit for it. I don't chase it anymore. Did it help you? Cool.
I will definitely be giving lots of credit. And if it does extraordinarily well, don't be surprised if you wake up with a duffel bag full of money on your doorstep one day.
Well, you take care of your family first.
Oh, absolutely.
We're doing okay here. You put your kids through college, and then you can send me a duffel
I'm
bag.
putting in military school. What are you talking about?
Too funny. What's it? 10:46. Before I log off to go to bed here, does anybody have any questions for me or for Anthony about anything at all? Is there any awkward situations you want to make us talk about? I gotta wake up relatively early, so I don't want to be on too late.
Wanda Ramos says, "Blessings, Castro. You've got this. Thank you, Wanda. I hope I do."
Wanda is an angel. I swear. She's like one of my old school like huge fans who like shows up for everything, and she's so sweet.
Well, if anybody wants to send me a friend request, you're more than welcome. I'm very sociable now, more so than I used to be.
Sociable, not socialized. Sociable.
No, sociable. I'm still a brood at the dinner table. Another
burping and farting. Could be worse,
right?
Good.
Oh, I was going to say, if you guys click on my website or my page, Anthony Castro, I'm sure you can find me on Chris's friend list. My link to my Kickstarter is everywhere. So definitely go check that out. And
just to like give people a little bit of a heads up, you're going to price the comic book at about $20, right?
Yeah, the first tier is $20, but that's a signed copy, and you get the digital copy as well. There's a lot of add-ons. The first tier is $5. You get just the digital copy, but the $20 you get a digital copy and a signed copy. We've got hoodies, shirts. I've got 3D models being made. Apparently now they're going to be painted, which is awesome. And then I'm having a plushie of my character Toxic Pig made, the cute little plushy pig. So that's going to be cool because those are going to be everything on here is going to be extremely exclusive. Like I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars to have some kind of production line pumping these things off. It's all the stuff that I've got made is individuals that have come together to help me get this done. But I've got some cool hoodies. My hoodies are the best. I love those hoodies. I've got like 6 of them. And you can just it's a bunch of cool stuff. I've got a tier on there for stores for a discount. You get a good significant amount. to put in the store if you guys are interested. So if anybody out there watching, you got a store, hit me up. I can hook you up. I got the hook up. So yeah, definitely check out the Kickstarter. I think within the next week or so, I'm going to be pushing that start button. And who knows, maybe we can get together again like this before that happens.
I'm sure we can make some time for it.
And we can talk some plans on how to do it and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Last minute pep talk.
Just grab your ankles.
Right.
It's okay. I always just expect disappointment, right? That way I'm like pleasantly surprised when things don't disappoint me. Oh, that's not too bad. That's amazing.
Yeah. And like the goal is only 3,000, and I've seen other ones ask for less. Mm-hmm. Like I've been doing my research on other comic book, campaigns, and I've seen some comic books on there, not to diss, but they weren't that awesome looking. As far as art goes, I haven't read them obviously, but art wise, they aren't as great in comparison to Bad Wabbit, and they've made like 4 or 5 times as much as they were asking for. So I've got a lot of faith that this is going to go well.
Well, you want it to fund, because if it funds, then you're printing comic books.
Yeah,
and that's where you're trying to get right now. Like you're just trying to make some comic books, and once you have them in hand and you can start distributing them and getting them out there and putting them in people's hands, and then the doors will really start to open. You're not going to get rich on Kickstarter.
No,
nobody gets rich on Kickstarter except for Brandon Sanderson, but whatever. So like you're doing this to literally to kickstart this business, this comic book, right?
Yeah,
this character. This is the birth of Bad Wabbit. So
yeah.
And I think you'll get there. I think you're not asking for an unreasonable amount. You got some pretty cool levels. You're accessible. You're personable. It's a cool story. You have a cool story. It's got all the reasons why it should be successful. So,
wow, I'm looking forward to it.
With my Kickstarter, with the AUD one that just ended, I was joking around because I set an original target goal of $7,000 for it, which basically would have paid for, pretty much all of the expenses. And the night before, I'm sitting there and I'm having a crisis of confidence. I'm literally thinking like, whoa, $7,000, like how many people is that going to be? And I'm like doing all this like paranoid nightmare math in my head of like, all right, well, I need X many backers to do this. And how many of those can I realistically expect to sell? And like, I literally talked myself out of $500. And I said, all right, I'm going to lower it to 6,500 because, that's like, two less box sets that I have to sell to get the funding. And, for those of you who don't, use Kickstarter that much, either you hit your funding goal and get it all, or you don't hit your funding goal and you get nothing.
Yeah.
So, you really want to set a number for your target that, you can get to, because you want at least that, rather than getting nothing. So I literally, the night before I launched the Kickstarter, I cut it by $500. So my goal went from 7,000 to 6,500. Because I wasn't sure I was going to get $7,000. Like I was so worried about it. And, as it turns out, I hit $7,000 in like 70 minutes, and wound up ending over 20, which is absolutely mind blowing.
That's so cool, man. I can't believe it. It's all, I mean, I can believe it. It's you, but that's freaking crazy. 20K.
It is. Yeah, it is. And like, I can't even like find the words to like explain how crazy that is and how amazing that's going to be, because it removes a significant amount of worry, and covers me for a lot of expenditures, and I was able to buy a lot of really great swag because of the Kickstarter. And
that's great.
you were saying like you don't have factories producing stuff, and neither do I, but like I was able to go to some bigger printers and order more posters at a slightly better price because I could commit to a larger order because I knew the money was coming in. So instead of paying $4 or $5 for a poster, now it's only going to be a couple bucks.
And I'm hoping I'm able to do that too. I've got some really awesome stretch goals I got the posters. I have 2 variant covers, and I have the 3D model files that people will be able to get and print them out themselves,
Right.
or get someone to print them, of course.
Yep.
But I've got some pretty cool stretch goals, but like I'm just really just wanted to fund in general.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
If
it
we
gets
can
you
get
going.
there, then we can get there.
Yep. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of people on Kickstarter who are super excited to put $20 behind someone's dream.
Yeah.
Because it's well, they call it crowdfunding, and it's seed capital, right? It's people who look at a great idea and say, I'm willing to roll the dice on $20.
Yeah.
Or $40 or $100 or whatever. And obviously with my situation, I've been around for years, and I've been writing professionally, quote unquote, professionally, since 2010 or so. And this was going to happen whether or not I got the Kickstarter. The question is whether or not I was going to have to foot the bill and then hope I got paid back, or if I was going to take pre-orders and basically kind of cover the cost before I had to incur all of it. So it's less of a gamble for people to back me on Kickstarter, because they know that like I have a lengthy history of showing up. But there's so many people excited to launch new comic books, and when you have a compelling story and good art, and you can put together a Kickstarter that looks pretty decent, there's a lot of people out there that want to support that. So
yeah, I mean,
I think we'll get there.
I think my comic book would have been done whether I had the Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter just means I don't have to resort to prostitution, and I am all for that.
Yeah, no one wants that.
It keeps me off the street corner.
Seriously. People would pay for that. All right. How much for head? How much to just get you to leave?
Oh, thank you.
Wait. Which did you want? So yeah, the other thing that I wanted to mention before I boogaloo is I put up several posts about this earlier, and I just want to say it again because it looks like we got 6 people online right now.
Mm-hmm.
The audiobook that I just released, The Lost and the Found, like went through quality control at Audible in like record time. And they basically got it out like the next day after submission, because I think I submitted it the morning of the 2nd, and it was released the afternoon of the 3rd.
It was like 12 hours, right?
Yeah, it was something crazy. I forget the exact timeline. It was not much. But they made some mistakes on it. So the book itself is fine. Like the audio is fine. There's no quality issues there. But every book that Audible released as a new release this past like Friday or whatever didn't get a book cover attached to it.
Yeah.
So when you go to Amazon and you look at audiobooks, mine isn't there. It just says like image coming soon or something like that. And when I did some research on it, like there were like 50 or 60 other new releases that were exactly the same. So it's not me. It's clearly a technical issue on their side. But it also, people were having a hard time searching for it. Especially on Amazon, people were able to find it pretty directly on Audible. But I posted links on my couple of posts that I put up earlier on both my profile and on my author page. So if anybody hasn't gotten it and wants to get it, and you're having trouble finding it, you can find one of those posts and grab the link that heads you just right straight to the book. So if you're looking for it and you can't find it, there's your workaround.
Cool, man. I'm looking forward to getting into it, man.
Yeah. The people really liked the ebook and print, and the what little feedback I've gotten so far from the audio, people are really liking it.
Good.
I forget who it was, but somebody said that they had already listened to it once and they were now back listening to it again.
Yeah,
like back to back, and that's always a good sign.
when that's how I was with the first 10 books or so. I would finish the first one, go straight to the second one, and once I got to like Cassie, because I think at the time that's all I knew was out there.
Mm-hmm.
but as soon as I finished Cassie, I was right back to the first book
Yeah.
and listening to it all again. And my wife and me would lay in bed and listen to it and just sit there and enjoy Adrian, man. It was really cool. That was before I even talked to you. So
How did you find my books? Like, what was the
I
genesis
think the first time that I had listened to one of them was actually a copy of it, the first book on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I was at work, and whenever I did go to work, I was a dishwasher, and I kind of got my own little world, so like nobody fucked with me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to talk to customers. I didn't have to talk to managers or waiters or anything. I just did my job, and nobody messed with me. So I would listen to audiobooks, and I saw the cover of that. I think it was him on the roof with all the hands. And I was like, ooh, zombies. So I love zombies. And I was like, I'll give it a shot, And now here we are. And I'm a big fan, huge fan. And I've went from that and started listening to Audible and all that stuff. So like, it's been cool, man. I've loved the series from the get go, man. And I haven't stopped listening to it since.
Yeah. I'm always curious how different people found it.
Yeah.
Found my work. Because pardon, when when I first started writing, it was just the website, and everything was posted in real time online, through the blog format. And when it was just that and you found it, it was like, okay, well, where did you find the website?
Yeah.
Right. Like, how did you find out about the website? And then when I started putting books out, it was like, okay, well, how did you find out about my writing? Like, are you, OG website people? Like, were you signed up? Did you follow it day to day, or did you read the ebook or the print or whatever? And it's just interesting to see how people find you, because like one of the reasons why I'm trying to do more YouTube stuff is there are so many pirates out there pirating my stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I just like don't have a presence on YouTube. And I have a YouTube channel, but I don't really put anything on it. So one of the reasons why I'm doing all these lives is so I actually have, some semblance of presence on YouTube. So it's not just pirates literally stealing money from me. But, on the same side, like the amount of people who have found my books on YouTube who have then gone on to be like, really supportive fans and, write reviews and, encourage people to follow me in other ways. Like, it's crazy. Somebody was saying on a live I did the other day that like some of my pirated YouTube videos have like 300,000 listens, or more.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And like I don't even think I've sold 300,000 book ones.
Oh wow.
Right. So and this is like over the course of 10 years. So had I gotten those YouTube plays as a book sale, like, dude, like my life would be way different. But I can't complain because I still make pretty good money, and things are good. And who knows if I would have made as much money as I've made if I hadn't gotten those 300,000 views. So like I can't pick that apart. And having these videos helps, I think.
I know that it probably didn't make you any money, but I am very glad that I found the audiobook on there, because it was amazing and captivated me from the get. And I have been a huge fan of you and Adrian ever since. So I
appreciate it.
I'm thankful for it. I've read just about everything you put out at this point. There's still some stuff I need to catch up on, but
well, there's a lot of it. Like when I look back at all the stuff that I've put out, like I've done a lot, and not all of it is going to transfer. Like I talk about like the dark fantasy stuff I've written, and then I talk about like I did the YA books, and I got like.
I haven't gotten into those.
Damn it.
I haven't gotten to the YAs, but definitely might.
Well, they're still me.
Yeah.
There's just less swearing.
Yeah.
Like when I talk to people, and probably in a year or two, I'm gonna like think about doing a relaunch on them, because they like I had to get the first book cover done by somebody who I don't normally get book covers done by. And I was like pinched for time, and I didn't really like the art, and it's not quite what I wanted. And then Audible didn't even like the art, and they did their own audiobook art. So like my arts don't quite line up, and they didn't market it correctly. And I wrote it under a pen name,
Yeah.
which, I wanted to differentiate, my very adult writing from the stuff that I was, advertising as being more YA, because I didn't want people to be like, oh, the phone is so wonderful. I'm going to have my 10-year-old read this. What is it? Dark Recollections. And, have them go from this like, perfectly suitable book for a 10 or 12-year-old to Adrian. So, the pen name seemed like a really smart idea, but I didn't really know how to promote it, and I followed a lot of the advice that people gave me, and I did the best I could, but it just didn't take off. Which,
Yeah, well,
Wanda was saying earlier, like, you couldn't write a dud. Yeah, I can. And I put, 3 months of my life into that book, maybe 4, and didn't really make a whole lot of money on it. And it's good. It's good. It didn't find the audience.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter how good your writing is if you can't get it in front of people to buy.
Yeah. Well, I
Or
hope I'm not out on the street corner handing them out whenever I drop them. So,
well, for Wabbit up here, I'm pretty close to a lot of the comic book stores and game stores in like a 30-40 mile radius, and I'm sure we'll be able to get some copies in the ones up here.
sweet.
Especially
That'd
if I can sign them as the editor and give them
Yeah.
a little extra added value.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
it'll be something.
I'm going to be giving you the hookup as far as being able to get them after they're printed.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you've done more than just edit, so I think you're entitled to a significant discount.
Well, just happy to have helped.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yep. All right. So before I sign off, I'm going to sign off here pretty soon. Does anybody have any last questions? Any comments? Any witty repartee? Any insults you want to hurl? Any advice you want to give? Any feedback? I asked this question, then it takes everybody 3 minutes to think and then 2 minutes to type, which keeps me online for 10 minutes. And then I think of something else I want to talk about, and then I don't log off for 20 minutes. And I'm like, hey, does anybody have anything they want to say again? And it just keeps happening. And next thing I know, I'm online for 3 hours.
Yeah.
My wife's like, why did you stay up till 1 a.m. last night?
I was talking to my friends online. we were having friend talks.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta go to bed, dude. I'm like, I don't know if I do. I don't want to go to bed. I know. Sleep's not validating.
Well, one of these days, I'm hoping we can get together and play a short D&D round.
Oh, for sure. But we've had such a shit show here because the girls got strep, both of them, and they were Willow got it and was out a day, and then Juniper came home from school with it the next day, and then we had them home for 2 days until they got the antibiotics into them. So it was like 4 days of the kids being home, and then they went to school for a couple of days, and then the antibiotics last for like 10 days or whatever. They got off the antibiotics, and then Willow got strep again a day after getting off the antibiotics. And then Juniper got it the day after that. They're literally in sync. So they've gotten strep twice now, back to back.
Damn.
And then on the second batch, my wife Leah got it. So for like basically the last like 16 days, we've been dealing with 2 to 3 people in the house with strep. And it's just crazy. Like dealing with sick people is tough as it is. But then Leah and I both work from home, and when you got sick kids at home, we got to take care of them, and it's just tough to get any work done at all. Like, we're literally ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, it's my turn to work. Right, here are the kids. This one got this medicine. This one got this medicine. This one's complaining about this. These two won't stop fighting about whatever. And then I'm scattering off to go edit a book, and she's dealing with clients and whatnot. So like, I haven't been able to do shit the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. Well, I hope they get better.
Having kids, they're already better. They got them on a different kind of antibiotic, because they, the amoxicillin, the default one they give you, is did not cut it. So they stepped them up to the more industrial strength stuff. But then that messes with your guts and whatever. Yay, having kids.
Right.
I love them, but Jesus, it's tough.
It's never a dull moment.
I don't remember the last time I was bored.
Well, you got girls, so I don't know the first thing about raising girls, but I can tell you raising boys. Woo!
Yeah, I don't know. Most of my friends have boys. Some have like one girl, but the ones that have multiples have boys. And everyone always says like, I don't know the first thing about raising the other kind, but we all sit down and talk about it. And it's like, yeah, they're all pretty much the same. I think like the whole like, oh, raising a girl is like XYZ and raising a boy is like XYZ. I don't think there's actually that much difference. I think that's something that we like want to perpetrate to, so we feel bad about, or feel good about how bad our experience was. But I mean, it's just tough. Boys, girls, whatever. It's having a kid is amazing, and it is a ton of work.
Yes, it is.
Wouldn't trade it for the world.
No.
Wanda, she wants to get the comic book and put it in a time capsule.
That'd be cool.
Cool. It's way better than the trash barrel.
Yeah, please don't throw it away. I would prefer you send it back to me before throwing it away.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's definitely going to be a part of history. I'm going to make it so. Make it so.
Well, I mean, you are incredibly close to having them in hand. Like, really, boys are insane. Like you're there. Like, you've got the book illustrated. The script is written. You have the book in hand right now. You're just making sure you have enough money to print enough.
Yeah. And
the Kickstarter will hopefully get you there, so you can print a good number and have some extra to sell afterward and to distribute and to. I still
got to finish paying Tommy. He went so fast and so far ahead. I'm still like trying to catch up on paying him, but he said, don't worry about it until, whenever we can get it, we can get it. But
yeah, you'll get there. I mean, that's the expense with a comic book, right? Like, if you're writing it, your time is quote unquote free, right? Yeah. Like, however much effort you put into it is your choice, right? So you don't really have to, quote unquote, pay yourself for that time, but you do have to pay the people who are doing other stuff for you. Yeah. Like, for my Kickstarter, like I'm not doing the Kickstarter to pay myself an hourly wage for these books, right? But I am right. I do need to raise like, $5,000 to pay for all the art. Because, 8 book covers plus posters plus stickers plus, bookmark, like all that stuff's money, and like, as great as this AI art stuff is, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to use, computer generated art. I want to talk to an artist. I want to put someone, in a job. I want to make sure that I'm like building an economy, not just software,
Yeah. The AI stuff is, you'll end up with a hand with 6 fingers.
Right. Yeah. Well, somebody posted, I think it was on Twitter the other day, that they were like, why is it that, robots are making art and people are working all the hard jobs? Right? Like, how did we get to that nightmare? Right?
Yeah.
And when you stop and think about it that way, like, wait a minute. Oh boy. Like, that's actually really true. Cause like, we got people slaving, working in, factories and hot kitchens and busting ass and doing like really hard, crappy work. And then now people are developing software that writes us stories and keeps us entertained. Like, no. Like, what the robot needs to be the one sweating in the kitchen, and we all need to be like eating grapes and sipping on wine and doing the leisurely stuff. Like we're doing this in the wrong way.
My ideal future is being able to buy a robot that goes to work for you, and you get paid for its productivity.
Seriously.
While you sit at home and write.
Hi, Virginia. I love everything I do, but especially my books. What else do I do that's lovable? Do I have any other imprint on society? Is it my stand-up routines? I don't know. I appreciate that compliment, but I don't know what it means. I had a boss, one of my very first bosses. His name was Tom Berry. I don't even know if he's alive. I should look him up. He was funny. He was like a really, really sweet guy to work for. And I remember we were in a meeting once, and he was leaving the company. He had gotten a job offer to go back to a company he worked for many, many years before. And I forget exactly how it came up in conversation, but he's like, because I haven't gotten my dream job, I'm just going to take this one for now. And I remember I'm like, well, what's your dream job? Like, what would that be? And he was like an interesting guy, so I knew he'd have an interesting answer. And he said, well, my dream job is I just sit at home and people mail me checks.
Yeah. No shit.
And then, like, at the time, I was like, that's asinine. Like, that's never going to happen. And, like, here I am 20 years later, and, like, I'm a writer, right? If I don't write, I've got enough of a backlist out that I collect royalties.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, I'm going to call Tom. Like, I'm going to call Tom. I'm going to tell him, hey, Tom.
Guess what I do?
I got it, dude. I got it. You just got to write a few books. That's all. That's and you just sit back and here we are. But that was like a very influential moment for me when he said that, because like it was a joke that I'm sure he's probably cracked that joke 100 times with people at conventions or whatever, and sales floor bullshit. But like as a 20-year-old, right, when he said that was like life changing for me. Like, wait a minute, is that a job you can get? Like, is that something that I could actually work towards?
Heck yeah.
And I didn't, right? But here I am, having accidentally backed onto it.
That's great.
Virginia says my dice. Thank you. I'm actually working on them right now. That's why I'm not.
Yeah.
My head is down and I'm not staring into Anthony's eyes lovingly. Well, don't make it weird.
Too late. No.
Well, you invited me. It's your fault.
No, I was I wear my sweats a lot because I don't go anywhere. I don't really do anything around, except for the obvious. But I'll wear my sweats out, and people like I had one guy who goes, "You wear sweats a lot, like do you ever like wear anything else?" I'm like, "No, just for the job that I want." And he was like, right. What's that? I was like, getting rich, sitting at home, doing what I love to do.
That's me. I go into the post office, and I'm home almost all day. And if I didn't have to bring the kids to school in the morning, like I would just be in my underwear.
Yeah.
Dick flopping out of the hole. Or, at most I'll put on like pajama pants, or when we get into warmer weather, I wear like gym shorts and whatnot. Yeah. But like I'll roll into the fucking post office wearing like my flannel PJs. Oh. Like I'm barely dressed. I haven't combed my hair. It's 8:00. I just dropped the kids off at school, and I walk in there, and the guys at the post office are like, "Aha, just wake up." I'm like, "No, I've been up for about 3 hours. I just, this is peak me right now."
I go to church in my hoodie and sweatpants. I mean, like everybody's like their Sunday best, and I'm in there with a bad Wabbit hoodie and, and my sweatpants and house slippers.
It's like, what's in your heart, not on your clothes, right? Right. I always tell the people at the bank and the post office, like, I'm just trying to keep up the illusion of the eccentric local writer.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I want people to be like, oh, is that the guy who writes those books in town? The weird ones. He's a strange one. Like I want to have that reputation, But, recently, though, Leah, my wife, got me a Stitch Fix subscription.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's a subscription box where you like tell them your style, and you go through like a carousel of like picking out clothes you like, and they send you a subscription box once a month. basically with stuff like in your size that they think you'll like and whatever. And like I have never liked shopping for clothes. I'm a big guy. I've always been a big guy. And I have always had a very hard time finding clothes that fit me comfortably. So like I don't like going shopping because it's just like an exercise in being told how fat I am and like how awkward shit fits and like try on another pair of jeans and my first thought is, oh, I got to lose weight. So like I fucking hate shopping. But the Stitch Fix thing was actually really cool. And we only got a couple of boxes of it because it is kind of expensive. But they actually like sent me decent things that fit nice. And now like I'm wearing clothes and I roll into the post office and it's the exact opposite. The guy's like, hey, look at you. That shirt has buttons, and I'm like, I know, right? I'm gonna go get a latte after this.
Right.
And I'm not because I can't afford it. But I pretend like I can afford a latte.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I wore anything like dressy.
Mm-hmm.
My the extent of my dressiness is having a button-up shirt. I might have some blue jeans with holes in the knees.
Right. Yeah. Well, when you look at some of the most successful creators and business people, one of the things that they've like scientists and psychologists have noticed is that they put almost zero actual effort into what they look like. Right. Yeah. And when you start to look at people, they don't even want to bother wasting their time thinking about what to wear. So they either wear the exact same thing every day, or they just wear complete garbage and they like nothing matches and whatever. And like when some of the people in tech are like great examples, like you look at like Steve Jobs or Zuckerberg or what's the other guy from Wozniak? You look at all those like mega smart people and they literally wear the same shit every day because they just don't want to bother with it. They don't want to think about it. They just want to roll in, do their thing and not have to worry about it. Right. And to a certain extent, I kind of feel that same way. And I'm not saying that I'm in any way comparable to those people because they're like some next level shit. But like, I hate thinking about what to wear.
Yeah.
Like I literally just want to like roll out of bed, put on something that's comfortable and then not have to worry about it.
I have an interesting story about that. When I lived in New York, I had lived in New York. I was working off of St. Mark's and I worked at this restaurant and this guy would always come in. I didn't know him, from anybody else. And he'd come in his khaki shorts and just, regular looking dude, like probably something I would wear if I was out stomping around in the neighborhood. Had always his like raggedy backpack on and his hat with all the buttons on it and stuff. And after a while, I got to know him pretty good. And I think the first Assassin's Creed had just come out. And he was like, hey, man, I was like, because we'd always talk about video games. And he's like, well, I don't live far from here, man. Maybe one day after you get off work, you can come by and hang out and we can play the new Assassin's Creed and whatnot. I was like, cool, man. So I get off of work. I go grab me a 40 of malt liquor and I go head over to his crib. And it's this sky-rise, big, badass building. He lives on the top floor in like a $250,000 condo. Turned out he was some really famous photographer for magazines and all this stuff like that. And like, I don't know if you ever heard of the movie Party Monster with Macaulay. He actually knew those people and took photographs of them back then. He's discovered some models. The Asian girl that is in the Fast and Furious movie, the one that with Ludacris. Anyways, he discovered her. The Tom Cruise movie where he stopped people's crime before they happened.
Mm-hmm.
The girl that played the girl that played the psychic chick that he was rescuing, he discovered her, and like he was just out there, and I didn't know him from anybody, but he dressed like just a normal dude. Like he looked like I do right now,
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool, man.
Well, I think it just speaks to the whole thing that like fashion's like this societal invention.
Yeah.
That like we expect people to dress for the job they want. But the reality of it is I don't think anybody actually wants to go through all that trouble. I mean, some people obviously really like to dress up and they feel great when they do and whatnot, but I think the majority of people are just want to be comfortable and
Yeah.
not look like a slob. And
I
some of us
mean,
don't even care about that.
I don't want a tie, and they better bury me naked because
Tie is just a low-hanging noose, man. I'm serious. I had to wear a tie many years, and
It's
no
just
thanks.
one step closer to hanging yourself.
It really is. I have like low-key sensory stuff.
Yeah.
Not that bad. But I get like very uncomfortable with like tight-fitting clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it affects me adversely more than I would say the average person does. So like my stuff tends to fit a little looser. I don't like certain kinds of materials, and it's not that bad. But like ties, anything around my neck
Yeah.
is like it feels like I'm literally choking. So like turtlenecks,
Yeah.
can't. I
Like
can't
just
even do the
thinking
mock
about it's
turtleneck.
making me want to tug on my collar.
Yeah, no, man. Like I don't know how I made it, a couple of years wearing a tie, in the office setting, probably because the paycheck was really good.
Yeah.
But like I would go into the bathroom and like literally just sit down in the stall and undo my tie for 10 minutes because it felt like I couldn't breathe. But yeah, I'm all set. Like give me a Henley collar, give me a polo collar, give me a t-shirt. I'm good.
I think that's why I like hoodies so much because
Hoodies, yeah.
you
Yep.
and I keep my house pretty cold, so I can wear them inside and when it
How
gets.
do you keep your house cold in Austin?
You got to pay a lot in electricity.
Yeah, Jesus. See,
No.
for us, it's heat during the winter.
Yeah.
For you guys, it's air conditioning during the summer.
I love the cold. We used to live in Montana, man, and I loved it. Like I would go hang out in the snow, just take a 12-pack, sit it in the snow, and just sit outside and drink.
Yeah, the cold doesn't bother me so much. Snow bothers me. Snow, I don't like snow.
Yeah.
Because like you can dress up for cold, right?
Yeah.
Like you can put on another jacket, you can put on a thicker hat, you can put your hands in your pockets. Like you can not go outside when it's cold, right? Like you can control that. But when it's hot,
yeah, you can only
like
take
you
off.
can only you can only get so naked. And like your air conditioning has a harder time fighting against really, really hot days than your heat has trouble fighting against the really, really cold days. Like I briefly, well, I say briefly, it was like 3 years, dated a girl who lived in, whose family lived in DFW. And we flew down to visit them all the time. And we would often go down there in like August and July because it was so cheap to get flights because fucking nobody wants to go to Texas in July.
No.
Nobody. Like they were giving us tickets to go down there practically. And I remember being down there and like being in her mom's house and like just sweating balls. Right? Like, and she's got the AC humping. And I'm like, what do you have it on?
I'm in hell.
Right? Like, is it trying? Like, could you turn the knob a little bit more, Joanne? And she'd be like, well, it's set to 74. Like,
what?
Your AC is set to 74? Like I set my heat to 68. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like try. Like just try. I'll give you the money. Like I'll write
I
you
try
a
to keep
check.
mine at 69. It's a good number.
Jesus. 74. Like what the fuck?
Like if it gets up to 72, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm no bueno, man. Like I during the winter I put the heat on like 66, sometimes 68 when it's like really cold. My wife, on the other hand, just like if I don't police the knob, she turns the house up to 80. And like within 20 minutes, I'm like, is anybody else having a hard time breathing here? Like what the? And it's like 71. And she's like, well, I got a little chilly. I'm like, get a fucking blanket.
Right.
Like please, like it doesn't cost us any money for you to get under another blanket, but every time you turn the heat up to $80, it's like throwing a $5 bill in the fireplace.
Yeah.
Like
that's crazy.
Please. Anyway, yeah, she used to keep it on 74 and she's like, that's about all my AC can handle. Like I could put it lower than that, but it's just going to run all the time, and it's still only going to get to 74.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, fine. Like, how much is it for a new unit? Like, how quickly can they put one in? I'll just put it on a credit card and figure it out. I know I'm only here 3 times a year, but this is ridiculous. You're gonna have a fucking stroke in this place. It's the thing about the South that, like, having lived, I lived in Arkansas for a year, and I went down to Texas quite a bit. I've been down there 5-6 times, probably more like 10 times. And like, having seen both cultures, one of the things that's so funny is up here when you sweat, it's weird,
Yeah.
right? Like, if I'm like, if I walk into a business and I got like my under titty rings where, you know, my man boobs have been sweating, and I got rings under my pits and under my neck, people look at me like I just, like, you know, ran a triathlon. And I'm like, no, it's like 80 and I peeled an orange. Like, I don't need a reason to sweat this much when it's this hot out. And people look at you weird up here, like, you know, something's wrong with you, like you're diabetic or whatever.
Yeah.
You go down south and people are literally just like nasty with sweat, and not one person says anything. You know, like, I remember when I was working down there, where I would like go into like law firms, and like I had all these meetings with like business owners, and everyone's got a little sweat rag tucked in their back pocket.
Yeah.
And everyone's just sweating,
Yeah.
you know, because it's just fucking hot out all the time, and it's just no big deal. And
No.
that's like one of those little things, like, you notice about the difference between the different climates. Like, oh,
That's like
okay.
when I lived in Montana, it was like 50 degrees outside, and people are walking around in flip flops and shorts and like t-shirts. I'm walking around in like hoodies and jackets and stuff like that because I'm from the South, and that's cold to me, you know.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, everybody's like, dude, aren't you hot? I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? It's like 50 degrees outside.
Yep. When I lived down in Arkansas, I was down there for the winter, and like, I'm out at the gas station pumping gas, and literally, I think it was like February. It's literally like 45 degrees, and I'm wearing like cargo shorts and like a long sleeve t-shirt. And I couldn't even tell you how many times somebody was like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need a jacket? Like, do you not have enough money for clothes?" And I'd be like, "No." Like, why? And like, well, it's like 50. It's not safe. You can't be out like this. And I'm like, you have no idea what cold actually is, do you?
No.
Like, you just don't know. Like, you can't. I mean, if you've never been through it, you can't experience it, right? Like,
Yeah.
does it hurt to breathe? No. Then it's not that cold.
Exactly.
You know, like, is your face physically stinging from the air? No. All right, then it's not that cold.
See, I was lucky enough to experience actual cold, so like I can appreciate it, you know.
Yeah. And you get used to it, just like you get used to the heat too. Like,
yeah, exactly.
By the end of a couple weeks down in Texas, 74 felt cool. Whereas up here, you know, if my house is 74 during the winter, I'm like, I'm in the basement laying on the floor, you know, rolling around on the cold concrete, trying to stem the tide of dehydration.
Yeah.
Again, I don't need a reason to sweat. I'll just sweat. Somebody says sweat, I'm game. Let's do this. Like my daughter Willow, we were doing something out in the yard. Like, I don't even remember what it was. It was like slightly physically exhausting, right? Like, you know, moving groceries or something, and I'm just like literally just dripping everywhere. And she's like, "Dad, what? Are you okay?" "Yeah, fine. What's going on?" She's like, "You're sweating a lot." Yeah, that's what I do. Like, I don't actually need a reason to sweat, kid. It's like, you're dripping on me. Like, get out from under me.
Before I got diagnosed with heart failure, I was a big time sweater. Like, I could sneeze and burst into a sweat, you know. So turned out that it was because my body was retaining so much fluid, and I didn't know it.
No, yeah, your heart will do that to you.
It was something, man.
Well, it backfires on me, right? Because like, I will literally sweat just like walking around outside when it's warm. Like, I don't need a reason. Like, if it's just warm enough, my body just starts trying to cool itself down. You know, I'm a big guy, and I sweat. but it bites me in the ass when I'm like outside busting my ass,
Oh,
right? I'm like ripping up, shit and mowing and dirt and dust and gross. And I'm like moving logs and cutting lumber and like doing, literal physical labor. And I'm like sweating balls. And I walk in and I look exactly the same as if I walked from the car to the trash barrel and back. Like I have the same physical appearance and the same look of exhaustion. And I'm like, oh man, I'm beat. And my wife is like, oh yeah. Yeah. What'd you do? Recline the chair in the car? Like, I'm like, no, I've been doing all these things. And she's like, oh yeah, well, yeah, you're sweaty. I guess you could say you did all that. God damn it. Like I feel like I need to punch myself in the head a couple of times so it looks like I went a couple rounds with Tyson, just to like get a
Yeah.
little sympathy when I'm tired, but I don't have
Yeah.
money for the medical bills.
We're men. We don't get sympathy.
Yeah. I get some. Not too bad. But my wife is a therapist, so she's kind of programmed to do that. But, oh well. And I think I was trying to sign off 40 minutes ago. See what I mean?
Yeah.
See? This is what happens every time. I don't mind. As long as people are finding it at least a little entertaining.
Well, we got 2 people watching, so at least 2 people do.
I see 5. I see 5 giving
Oh,
them
you got the YouTube.
the time of their life. Yeah, actually, like most of the comments tonight, I think, have actually come from YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because, like I said, like I haven't really done anything there, but apparently people actually pay attention, which is cool.
Well, I'm getting a little bit beat. I'm probably going to be getting off too.
All right, cool. Well, I'll let you drop and appreciate you coming on and bullshitting about Wabbit here.
Hey, yeah, man. Anytime. I love coming and cutting up with you, man.
Yeah, it's always fun. When we get closer to your launch date, we'll talk about doing this again just to get it on people's radars and give them some advance notice to set aside an Andrew Jackson to hopefully send your way to get your dream bank rolled, and hopefully it happens big. So
yeah, and anybody listening, if you want to get in on the Kickstarter, you can go to dmwcomics.com and find the Kickstarter link and just about every other link I'm attached to. So Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. I think I even have a YouTube somewhere out there, but I don't ever get on there. So who knows?
Well, this StreamYard thing's been big for me because then I can send everything all at once.
Yeah.
I don't have to duplicate effort or copy and paste and download. Like I just do it and like it just sends it out. And anything to make my life a little easier.
Doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't.
Anyways, I will see you later.
All right.
It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll get together again soon.
All right, man. Have a good night.
All right, you too, brother.
Bye. I think I hung up on him. Sorry, Anthony. Anywho, that was Anthony, everybody. He and I worked on a comic book together, and it's coming out soon. Kickstarter's coming soon. I'm glad we got the chance to talk about it tonight. Kind of blindsided him with the last minute invite. I was like, hey, what are you doing in like an hour? Luckily, he was free. So I'm glad he got to come on. A good dude. I want to see him be successful. All right, so I'll say it again. And I'm going to sign off here in a couple minutes. So if anybody has any last second questions or requests or comments, go ahead and drop them. And then I'm just going to finish up these last couple dice. Got quite a bit done tonight. Pretty happy about that. Got the second coat of yellow on some Michelle dice. And I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24 Lacuna dice painted, which is great. I haven't run the full report on how many sets of dice got ordered in the Kickstarter, but it was about close to 30 full sets of 9, which is 30 times 9 is what, 270 dice, something like that. And then there were multiple individual sets of 3 that people ordered. Well, I'll stick around for a little bit if you want to bullshit. Okay, speaking of Noel, I should if you have the technology, I should send you an invite and we should do one of these lives together. People see your name in my group a lot, and it would be kind of fun to bring you on live and talk about Argentina. For those of you who can't see, Noel is in the chat here, and he is a huge fan and friend who lives down in Buenos Aires. And he is an admin in my Ring Family fan group and has just been an incredible help for years now. And he's such a good dude. Lyndall, where's your shit? It's being made very slowly. Yours is last, and it will get lost on the way. Suck it. Yeah, I put out an update about the Kickstarter stuff, like where everything was at, and everything has moved along quite swimmingly. I have the coins on order. They're supposed to be here like end of the month, end of June, something like that. And my experience is that they're faster than they say. I think they quote you a much longer lead time than they actually need in the event that there's a problem. But they're supposed to be here around like June 28th or something like that. You're in the spotlight, Noel. This is life. You're worth being in the spotlight. Anyway, so the coins are on order. They'll be here at the end of the month. I already have the bookmarks in hand, sitting on a shelf. I already have the Mr. Journal stickers sitting on a shelf. The posters shipped Thursday, Friday. And they're due here end of next week. And I ordered a lot of them, so it's going to be like cases of posters, which I'm actually really excited about because I think I only sold like maybe 20 or 30 in the Kickstarter posters, but I ordered 500 because I switched to a more bulk printer and was able to basically get 500 for like the cost of 250. And it's like, well, why order the 250? Like I might as well spend the same amount of money and get twice as many. So posters are on the way. The STL file is being developed. I found a guy. And what else? The books themselves, the actual physical books, I can't finish book 1's production file until the surveys go out after payments get processed. So once everyone tells me the name that they want in the book and everybody gets back to me, then I can have the printing on book 1 begin. And I have a total of how many of each of the books I need to have made. And books 2 through 4, I could theoretically order them now and have them on the way because I know how many I need. But I'm going to wait because the company that's I sourced to print them is opening up a facility in America that will be able to send me the books for way cheaper. The books themselves will cost the same, but the freight's going to be half. So I want to wait until they're fully up and running, so I save. I mean, it could be like $1,000 on shipping. But I'm almost done with book 7 on like editing and formatting. Book 7's getting more editing and like fixes than almost any of the other books. I think book 2 got quite a bit. Book 2. I think book 2 got quite a bit. And then book 7 is getting quite a bit as well because there was some areas of the book that I knew I could tidy up and make tighter and better. And the Road to Bastion short story towards the end of book 7, there were some scenes in there that needed to be amplified to and added to. So those just got rewritten. I think I'm like 200 and something pages, 250 pages into 300 on that. So I'm almost done with book 7. And then that'll be done. And then I just got to do book 8. So by the time surveys get sent out, all of them will be done, and I can just start ordering the books, and then they'll be here. And then shipping materials and stuff I need to wait on, because I don't know exactly how big the boxes need to be until I have the exact page counts. Because the page count tells you how thick the books are, and the size of the box that you need depends on how big the books are. So, and I don't want to overspend and buy boxes that are too big, because, you know, I don't want to overspend. And also, I don't want to have too much extra space in the box, so the books are like flip-flopping around and getting bent corners and messed up dust jacket covers and stuff like that. So I want the box size to be as close to correct as possible. So yeah, that's where we're at. Everything is right on schedule. Oh, and because we hit the final stretch goal at the dead ass last second, I ordered a new set of Jinx Fairy master dice. So it'll be like a full role-playing game set. But the Jinx Fairy will be on the ones. And I had to redo the Jinx Fairy art, because the design that's on the AUD D6s, the little Jinx Fairy that I use, was already as small as I could make it. You can see the little fairy there. You see it? She's got little puffy wings and stuff. This was already like at the smallest size we could make it, because the legs are so thin. So when you cast them, the molds, there isn't enough like shape there for the molds to survive. So we had to pivot to a slightly different fairy shape, but it's still cool. It's still fun. And those will be on the ones, so those will be fun. And when they come in, people will be able to order those somehow. I think I only sold 2 or 3 sets through the Kickstarter at the very end, which is fine. But the Kickstarter, everything's on target, everything's on track. Book 14 just came out, and I'm working on the next Diggory book slowly, because the Kickstarter stuff has dragged out longer than I thought, because the girls got sick. But yeah, we're in great shape. So make sure no one sent me any important messages before I log off. No spam notifications. So many notifications. I get so many. Oh, I don't want to look at my own video. No, I don't want that. Go away. Yeah, cool. So again, thanks for showing up, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm going to head to bed. Book 14's out. If you can't find it, you can find the link specifically on my socials and in the Ring Family group. And as always, if you want to talk about it, you can jump into the Facebook Ring Family group, or you can comment on a YouTube video or whatever, and I try and respond to everybody. But I appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. Hope you guys are enjoying everything, and sleep well.